As a follow-up to a highly successful opening stage to Season 2, Vacation Villa is nothing short of a great stage. However, I think the consensus amongst my friends here is that it's put a little bit in too high of a regard. I believe that it is a little bit overrated in a subjective and by proxy objective sense too. Now, what I want to do is I want to take a magnifying glass on the stage and further figure out why this stage is so overrated and where it really belongs amongst the tier list. So, with that in mind, let's go take a look. My argument for this video isn't to say that Vacation Villa is not a strong stage, nor is it to say it's a masterpiece either. It falls in between those lines, if anything. Off the bat, one of the gripes I have with this stage, and you guys will be able to see this, is that the aesthetic doesn't feel developed enough. The entire stage is based around a villa, and yet there's not much of it. There's some vacation stuff at the start, and then there's the villas at the end, but then the rest of it is just sort of sand and stone. And even though it looks good, it does not match with the title necessarily. It's the stage equivalent of clickbait in a sense. I still do believe that the aesthetic of this map does leave the player with a good taste. It definitely could be better improved upon. So maybe it's not as immersive as Sunshine Seas, but definitely nothing terrible. Just a little bit underwhelming. One thing that you guys will come to notice as this clip keeps going is that there are a lot of score pads this time around. There's technically 12 here to Sunshine Seas 4. So there's 3 times the amount of score pads featured in this stage compared to the last one. Now, that itself isn't inherently the problem. However, to get 3 score pads, the only way to get to them is by backtracking. If you want a glory rank or even a champ rank on this map, so the 2 highest ranks, you need to be fast and you need to backtrack a couple times. It's not backtracking to the point where you're pulling your hair out. In fact, you're only backtracking probably 10 seconds, maybe even slightly under. However, it is still a bit of an issue and does cause a minor annoyance amongst players, myself to an extent included. Now, I get that I've done nothing but piss on this map so far, but there are good things to be told about here. First and foremost, the flow of this map is excellent, nearly perfect even. It is good to a point where even if you know this level somewhat well, you can get this flow of momentum and just keep on progressing without much trouble. And it's honestly a very satisfying feeling, because nobody loves a good feeling like that of perfect momentum. And this map does an excellent job of offering that feeling and all the opportunities to get to that point. It is definitely worth noting that the ending of this stage is done excellently, where it's just a dash to the goal and then you complete it. The satisfaction there is peak. Another thing about this stage that's so amazing is that there is a lot of multi-path routes here, and it kind of requires the player to think about the most effective method of getting around and getting the best rank that they can. It's a really interesting concept in its essence because it provides a challenge without throwing any obstacles at your face other than the idea of a decision to be made. And that's a fascinating concept. Another thing worth noting here, and perfect transitions aside, is that difficulty here is done impeccably well. Yes, it is a little bit more challenging than Sunshine Seas. However, it is not unfair in any way. There's no bullshit here. It's just a small uptick from where the tutorial puts you. And it's a bit of a test in its essence. And I think that's a really good thing about Vacation Villa and probably one of its most appealing factors. I could see the argument being made that this stage would alienate beginner players. However, I immediately disagree. Even if beginner players do struggle with this, the stage isn't dauntingly hard with a bunch of Neos and 4-block jumps to the point where they can't learn anything. The stage would slightly be out of their grasp at the most, and this would be more of an opportunity for those beginners to move on to more of an amateur level of skill rather than just being unable to play the stage altogether. So I feel like this difficulty is honestly near perfect where it is, and I don't know any way to change it, so I won't ponder on that at all. Vacation Villa is definitely a great stage. I love its flow just as much as I love its multiple pathways, or even its near perfect level of difficulty, or just a satisfying ending that just feels good to complete. but this map is definitely no S+ tier map. I do feel like the underdeveloped aesthetic does hold it back in a sense, and the tedious score pads could have been improved upon just a little bit. They aren't necessarily bad facets of the map. I think they were good, but definitely nothing close to perfection. This map does still successfully continue the lineup of great maps to come from the start of Season 2, and I hope that from this point forward we can still continue that trend. I think it's still fair to say that we are 2 for 2 when it comes to good quality stages, and I want to continue this streak for as long as possible, so that I will try my best to do. So with that in mind, everybody, my final rating for Vacation Villa is 9.2 out of 10. S tier. I didn't forget this time! Thank you guys for coming by to watch this video. Taking time out of your day for the sake of me always makes me happy, so I appreciate it greatly. With that in mind, I want to talk about my schedule and how I'm uploading, and honestly, the 1 video per week thing is definitely working out for me. I'm not feeling burnt out or anything like that. It's feeling relatively good, so I'm going to stick with it for a while, I think. So I hope you guys are understanding of that, and with that in mind, I'll see you guys in Rocky Ruins. Later.